Wood is a name from marriage that concluded in divorce 7 years ago. Curry is my official maiden name. And since my dad was adopted by a Curry, I'll go ahead and state my biological last name, Morgan. What's a name anyway? Is it our identity? Like our real identity, who we truly are? Or is it just one of the ways to tell each other apart? Identity. For most people, I think it takes a lifetime to discover that, their identity. And for some, they never do. Not who they truly are at their core. Everyone around us helps us shape our identity, right? Things we watch on TV that help us relate. Things we read, books or online, ring true to us. Also, so that we somewhat have something we can sort of identify with, right? But is that our true identity? How do we find that? Is our true identity right here? Right here? Is my true identity right here? This flesh and blood with frizzy hair, thanks to the Houston, Texas humidity. Is Houston, Texas my identity? Is what I do for a living my identity? What do I do for a living? Is it my job that I pay bills with? No, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't. And I think that for most people from my experience, the job that they do to pay bills isn't what they do for a living. Because is living paying bills? Is it about money? No. No. Not in my opinion. would disagree with that. And I know. That's okay though. Why, when people meet us and they ask what we do, we name our job that we pay bills with. It's just like a natural answer, isn't it? But then, when we really stop and think about it, what do I do here in this world? Why do I get to live here? And why did I choose to live here? The answer to that is what I do for a living. For a living. And to find the answer to that, once you start asking yourself those questions, once you start wondering, once you start having that burning and stirring inside of yourself to figure that out, how do you get there? Well, start with what you know. Go back to the roots. The roots. Parents. Where you were born. Your siblings, if any. What was going on then and in your home. The way that you grew up. And why you were living where you were. And then their parents. How did your parents meet? How were they raised? All of those questions. What did you like to do when you were little? What was something that you were passionate about? What was something that you hid from everyone? That you were embarrassed about? That you were afraid of people knowing about? Because it was weird. Because it wasn't considered normal. You didn't see anyone else doing it. Or maybe your confidence was low. Or maybe someone told you not to do it. Do you have one of those things? Mine. Mine is creativity in all of its forms. Creative thinking, art, crazy ideas, and spiritual gifts, visions, dreams, writings that no one reads, the dreams no one ever hears. Yet, and light working. Light working is what I do for a living. Working with light and for the light is why I'm here. When you discover that, then you can dive into the true you inside this flesh and blood that is topped with frizzy hair, thanks to Houston, Texas. And deep in there, your soul that is much older than how old you are today, and will continue to exist and evolve after your flesh and blood is no longer here. That's where the most true version of you is. That's where you find that. In your effort to discover why you're here, you're gifted with opportunities to look deeper. You're gifted with insights. You're shown snippets in the order and progression that you're ready, according to divine will, that points the way towards your soul's lineage. That's deeper than biological ancestry, isn't it? And it's so vast. And when you're in those deep, deep waters, it's the warmest and most comforting familiarity you've ever felt. It's a feeling of like you're actually at home. That's when you find your truth. Your truth. Not what you do to pay bills. It's not where you come from. It's not anything to do with that body in which your soul resides. No. Nope. Your truth is there deep within you, waiting to be discovered. And when you do, you're rewarded by God, by the universe, by guardian angels. I call them spirit team. You're rewarded. By signs, synchronicities, arrows on your path. Sometimes they're quite obvious, and sometimes you really gotta look. But there's a constant desire to continue, and the most fulfillment, the most fulfilling emotion of knowing why you're here. You may not quite know exactly the destination, but you know that you're being guided, and that's beautiful. It takes a lot of faith, but once you have dug that deep to get into that ocean, you've earned and grown in your faith by then, big time, because then you know that you know. There's not so much wondering, questioning, skepticism. That's no longer once you get to that ocean. And then you become comfortable in the fact that your truth is not the truth of another. Because it's not. And that's beautiful. A lot of things might change in your life. People, surroundings, things. And it might feel a little bit scary at first until you realize none of that was my truth anyway. Right? Yeah. That's how that works. And as all that's happening, not to sound too ominous, but as all that's happening, we go through a series of ego deaths. That sounds scary, huh? But we must go through those because we're here on this planet for our soul and our spirit to rise in our humanness, to bow down to our soul and our spirit. Your soul and your spirit come directly from the source of all existence. Some say God. I like the word Yahweh. Some say Allah. Some say Jehovah. There are many, many names for the source of our souls. Many names. One thing is sure. The God from which I come, the source of my soul, is pure love. Real love. Divine love. and to be filled with and have a rising spirit and soul of love, it naturally pushes down your ego anyway. So the objective really is to fill as fully as possible with that true divine love from our source. And as that happens, and with each layer of ego that's shed, you know what else rises up with your soul? Your gifts. Things you didn't know you had. Things you've had access to this whole time. But weren't visible because of the blanket of fear, jealousy, greed, lust, among other things. That is our humanness. We all have many purposes. You're probably in yours right now, living your purpose. But there's only one mission, and it's your divine mission of your soul. In my whole life, I feel that I've been on this quest to discover and step onto the path of my mission. It's drawn me much closer to God, to my spirit team, and to my own soul. One of the first steps was loving myself and learning what wasn't loving myself so that could be eradicated. How you do that is knowing that your soul is of God.